What's up, y'all? Welcome to Daytime Talk After Dark. My name is Al Jackson. I'm joined by my people, the lovely Tori Shulman, who's scrolling like she's at the DMV waiting for a number.
Where is it? Does no one know which counter?
First of all, I do want to say shout out to the DMV. People complain about it a lot. I've had really good experiences there.
Okay,
They're organized. They keep it
we're
moving.
not even
The
gonna
person
go
who's
there.
already over me, she is Erica Cobb in a sweater that I already commented on earlier. It is lovely. How are you?
Thank you. I am doing well. I just had to make mention of this because clearly there's candy on the table, which there should be because it's almost Halloween.
Yes.
It's almost Halloween. Jeff was so nice to provide us with some treats, and Al looked at it and said, "Oh, are we sponsored by Sour Patch?" You are the only person who looks at a box of candy, just random boxes of candy on the table and thinks, "Great, we got sponsorship." No, we do not have sponsorship
Mrs.
yet.
Liquid Death label facing out. I thought maybe we were trying to get some sponsors.
First of all, I do believe that we are in a Liquid Death sponsored studio.
Woohoo.
Dude IDK.
Shout out, dude
Shout out.
IDK.
Yeah.
Is that true or did I just make that up? Yes.
That is true.
You shouldn't
So
have
when
asked.
he-
You would
when-
have way better.
When he offered, Nick over there offered me a water, I said, "Yes, please."
All right. And speaking of yes, please, I would like some more of this person in my life, Jeff Schroeder, joining us. What's up, man?
Quite the intro, buddy. Quite the intro.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so the candies.
Jacob.
Hold on. You're stepping on his
I'm
intro.
sorry. Could you
Excuse
find
me,
the show
Jeff.
for me so I can see the comments? Please excuse us. Thank you so much,
Oh,
sir.
the live show.
Yeah,
the live
I just
show.
need the
that's,
comments.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe do
That's a
that
good
before the
idea.
show starts.
Maybe. Don't talk about it.
But yeah, I was at the dollar store because I was getting a sheet. I was at Home Depot all day today. But we're turning our Roomba or like your iRobot thing
Yeah.
into a ghost. So when it goes around cleaning, I taped like you know those things that you put to grow tomatoes?
Yes.
Yeah.
You put that upside down, and then I went to Michael's and got like a styrofoam round ball.
Look at you.
And then you put that over it, and like you just cut out some black eyes for like the ghost, and then it just goes all around. So we're doing that. We're doing that tonight when I get home. But I was there and I saw the gummies, and I was like, "Oh, Al and Erica, I got to get some gummies, especially at the dollar store. I'll spring for that."
Yeah.
True or false?
Jeff.
True or
Thank
false? One of Jeff's favorite words of all time is ghost.
I like saying ghosts.
Okay.
Isn't it weird to say it?
Right.
Ghosts.
Ghosts. There were
Ghosts?
some ghosts in
With
here.
an
But
S
there's
at
an
the end.
extra S.
He likes saying
Like
ghosts.
what if there's multiple?
Ghosts.
Is it just is ghost the singular and the plural is what he's asking?
I just say ghosts. Like
Yeah, but if you
there's a
listen
bunch of
to it,
ghosts over there.
don't you hear like when you're saying it now?
How
you're
would
like,
you say he
ghosts?
ghosts everybody
because
that he dates?
Jeff has a glottal stop, which is
Okay.
super common in the Midwest. I actually trained myself to stop my glottal stop.
What's a
Wait,
glottal stop?
Yes.
It's like when you oh gosh, I can't even once I say it because y'all know ever since we started working together 7 years ago, I had to stop myself because Jeff and I are both from Chicago.
Chattown.
And being in the room with him speaking, all of a sudden I could feel myself reverting back. Like I would say things like, I've got to go get my backpack.
Where's that at?
Like my backpack, things like that. I can't think of an example, but like when you're stopping the T before the S, that's
it just sounds weird. I had this. I was up for like a finalist for this big commercial, but it was in the South, and I had to do an audio audition with them, or like a Zoom audition with them. So that's when I went to Tulsa. So I had to transform my buddy's computer room into like a studio,
Right.
and like I would put my sides up on behind the computer, and I did it like 3 times for them, and they're like, "So Jeff, where are you from, man?" And I was like, because like when I get a little nervous, when I get a little nervous, like my accent comes out a little
Right.
bit more. And I was like, I'm from Chicago originally, but I haven't lived there for a while.
Chicago.
And they're like, try it again. And I was like, what's up, everybody? Welcome to O'Hare International Airport.
That sounded more Chicago.
I know, I just joking. But I was like, oh. And
Where's
I
my backpack
I
at?
wrote my agent. I'm like, did they call? And they're like, nah, they didn't call. I'm like, freaking accents.
See, that's the thing. It's really strange. I think the more that we kind of get into the actors behind the shows we find out that they're all English or Australian.
A lot of them,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, Idris Elba pulling off a Baltimore accent, which is distinctly different from a DC accent, but it's all over the place. So I don't know. Maybe
There's hoop. They say hoop.
Right.
That's where the bag is, where the hoop.
Yeah, well, I watched this Netflix series, and it was about specifically like black actors, and there has been this like kind of tension between black U.S. actors and black actors from overseas.
Oh.
And people who were talking about it like more, just like with more nuance, is that a lot of these actors who are coming over from overseas, specifically like England, they're classically trained for all of these things. Where like in the U.S., you'll get actors who fit a certain thing, and then they're actors for a while, and then they play those parts. But the guys that are coming over, or the people who are coming over, are like, they've been training for this since.
Yeah,
like,
they've been taught Shakespeare since they were like little.
Yeah.
There's that famous story of Dustin Hoffman, who's method, and he was stayed up 3 nights in a row because that's what he did in Marathon Man, his character. And finally, Sir Laurence Olivier, he was like all out of it, and he hadn't slept in 72 hours. And Sir Laurence Olivier, who's British, was like, why can't you just act? And there's a sense of like they are trained in a way that they don't need the method. And yeah, there's 2 different parties going on.
Well, speaking about parties, we're having one right now on our podcast, and that's going to lead us to our first story, because podcasts, I remember that when I was a young comic coming up and I was a house MC, and people started to have podcasts, and they would say, this is part of my intro, I would be in the green room like, all right, dog. Like, I didn't know. I was like, you're going to look crazy, but this person has a podcast, and now they have 2 mansions. But seriously, I didn't see it coming, and I didn't see it coming into politics the way it has until, you know, I was in Iowa this week, and I come back and find out that a comic that I have known forever, Tony Hinchcliffe, made some statements at Madison Square Garden. And, you know, he's part of the Joe Rogan family tree.
In fact, Joe Rogan suggested it on a podcast that
Yes.
he do it at Madison Square Garden.
Well, no, he said that Tony Hinchcliffe should punch up some of your material.
Yeah.
He said that to Trump when Trump was on his podcast. Trump has been on a friend of ours, Theo Vaughn's podcast. He was on Andrew Schultz's podcast. Kamala Harris was on Call Her Daddy.
Yep.
So, Erica, did you see this podcast renaissance coming, and what do you attribute it to?
Yes, Al. That's why I've had a podcast, NAACP Image Award nominated podcast,
Ooh.
for quite some time now.
I'd clap,
yeah.
but I can't move.
Yeah,
The mic's too close.
Don't ever clap like
He
that.
hates you. He doesn't support you.
There should have been little symbols in your hands like that.
Like a monkey.
No, I think, you know, when I started my brand Comeback in 2016, I started it with the expectation that that was going to be the run of my career.
Right.
I didn't anticipate necessarily getting DBL. So, because at that time, like 2016, people act like having brands and, you know, having platforms and stuff, your own platforms, is something that's been around forever. It has not. In 2016, when I told people that I had a brand,
That the
and my
Cavs
brand
won the
name
championship? Was that what you were telling
that's
people?
not what I said. People thought I was insane and delusional, including my mom, who told me after everything came to fruition that that's how she felt, but she never would have told me because she knows that I'll find a way. But yeah, I mean, all of these things are relatively new in the space of the idea of it being a trusted source of media. But it should be a trusted source of media. I mean, we're sitting here as solely content creators now, and people are getting their news and their entertainment from people who have dedicated their lives to content creation. And so when you think of podcasts in general, like, I listen to podcasts probably, and I'm not even kidding, probably 4 to 5 hours a day. I'm constantly listening to podcasts because I listen for everything that I'm doing, whether I'm driving or, you know, cleaning up or whatever. And so the idea that these are sources that are greater than traditional media in terms of engagement, it makes only the most sense.
Well,
that
Tori, do you
people
think
running
that's
for
a good
office-
idea? Because unlike the news media where we saw that Fox News was sued for misinformation, a podcast, I think there'd be probably, and your dad can speak to this even better than anybody, there's probably a greater bar to prove that a podcast.
They have more lee room.
Right.
Yeah, way more
so,
space.
But
yeah.
I mean, I think most people are Erica and everybody. You get your news from there. So do you think that's a good thing, bad thing?
So here's what I think. I think that going on a traditional NBC, Fox, CNN, when you have to go and listen, let's say I wanted to listen, it goes up behind a paywall almost immediately. And the idea that I would go to something that everyday Americans actually listen to, like millions of people listen to these podcasts, are loyal to these podcasts, don't have to face a firewall or a paywall to get through to these podcasts. You have long form where you can discuss your policies in depth, you get to know their personalities, and they're not gotcha questions all the time. It's not for ratings. It's for a genuine conversation. I have to speak on this. Theo Von, I watched with Trump. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's a great comedian, friend of yours.
Mm-hmm.
I did stand up and open for him several times.
Stop bragging.
Okay, weird flex. But when he and Trump were on, he went on into about his cocaine use, Theo Von, and how he got through rehab. And Trump started talking to him and asking him questions. And in my life, as a political nerd, I have never seen Trump more interested in a human being in my life. He was like, well, tell me, how did the coke get you? And Theo explained it. Now, Trump's brother died, alcoholism is a big part of his family. So addiction is interesting. He never touches a drink, ever. So he was genuinely, like, interested in Theo Von, and he was literally humanized in a way that has never happened to me before. And I was like, this guy's, like, fascinated by this. It was a side that is not shown or available as a facet on those MSNBC, CNN. It just isn't there, and it's not the vibe that people are getting for. So it's a brilliant idea to get away from traditional firewall, paywall, and get to what people are actually listening to. Talk about relatable. Talk about relatable.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, Jeff. I mean, it is relatable, but is Tory just putting a bunch of bells and whistles on the old school term of a softball interview?
I don't think so, because even when we were on DBL, we've talked about Joe Rogan, and I don't agree, I've said on the show, with everything Joe Rogan says, but I do identify with his curiosity towards different things. That's how I identify with Joe Rogan. He is the #1 podcast in the country. Theo Vaughn's number 10 on that list, and again, an arm of Joe Rogan out there. I like the long, it doesn't matter who it is, Kamala, your favorite comedian, your favorite actor, because
or
have
author even.
whatever, I have all different
Any
podcasts
profession.
that I listen to. And I like the fact that it's a long form interview. I personally don't have any faith in mainstream media anymore. So whatever questions they're throwing up are softball questions. They're planned. You're on our team. We're going to throw you this softball. We're going to dig at the other guy. We're going to dig at the other girl, vice versa. I don't like that. I like to sit down, talk to somebody. Hey, when I was an actor, this is what happened, man. You know, and it's not just Jimmy Fallon interviewing you. Yeah, right? And like,
Sorry.
exactly.
That's my Jimmy Fallon.
Let's cut to commercial.
Sorry.
But I like the long form interview because you get to really find out who they are and what they're about. And especially if there's a question mark on them, like, Al, you said something in your stand-up act a couple years back. I don't appreciate that. And now I'm not an Al Jackson fan anymore. You go on a long form podcast. This is what I was going for. This is what I was thinking.
Sure.
Probably missed. You know, like, you get a chance to explain yourself
Sure.
in depth a little bit more, and it humanizes and it's relatable. So I think for the candidates now to be going on those types of shows is a great thing.
I do want to bring this in really quick. Just Me's Fun Hub says Howard Stern proved on the radio that people, especially celebrities, are much more likely to let their hair and guard down and be themselves. Sorry, I just wanted to bring that in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Stern had the ability, I mean, very early on, especially for terrestrial radio, moving over to, you know, Sirius XM, whatever, wherever that was at that point, you know, to start, I mean, really, the podcast.
Yeah,
You know,
he was
like,
ground zero. Don't
it
you think?
really was.
Long form, yeah.
But I was going to say, in terms of demographics, podcasts are so much better if you're really trying to reach a certain person. Because my mom texted me, do you know Call Me Daddy? And I was like,
You're like, Mom, can you never say that, please?
I was like,
Just say CMD.
I was like, what? And it took me a second to like, what is she? I'm like, oh, Call Her Daddy. Podcast. Yes, Mom. I know that podcast. So did you know that Kamala was on that podcast? And I said, I did hear about that. Yes. And she goes, well, why would she go on that podcast? And I said, because she needs to talk to white women.
That's exactly right.
And she goes,
That's exactly.
then what do you think she followed up with? Well, why didn't she come on your podcast?
What am I?
You have
Like-
to love parents to be.
I don't
Like,
understand.
she needs to talk to white women. And she's like, well, should I listen to the podcast? I was like, sure, listen to the podcast. I'm like, listen to that episode at least. I
Right.
don't know if all of them are going to really ring to you, 72-year-old black mama. But yeah, you get most of these podcasts are very targeted. you
Niche.
know the demo.
Sure.
So if you're trying to get your message to a specific group of people, podcasts definitely are a great way to go.
Can I ask you a question? Rogan has famously said we are offering Harris a spot. Trump took 3 hours with him. Do you think it's smart for Harris to go on Rogan?
What do you think?
Oh, I
Jeff?
thought you said Paris. I was like, Paris.
That would be super weird.
You know what's no?
I'd love to know if you think that, because I think she should.
So I've been listening to
I don't
Rogan,
know if I
and I
think she
know in the
should.
past he's said in the past he goes, I'm not having Trump on here. He goes, I don't want to get political like that, and he's said that. So having him Trump on, I was shocked
So,
at first.
yeah.
But I would love if Kamala went on.
That's what
Joe
I think.
Rogan.
Tell me.
I'd like that.
So I was listening to Fox and all that, and I thought that would be such a big move if she went to Rogan. Now, I don't find him a credible source of any information whatsoever, but I do think that his reach is so powerful, as you were saying, with demographic. Would it be worth it?
Yeah, I don't think that if she didn't go on, it's because she doesn't want to necessarily
Right,
go on.
right,
I think
right.
that at this point, it's a matter of priority.
Sure, and they've
Like,
a week
even
left.
if right, I
Right.
mean,
But that would hit a lot of undecided
yeah,
voters.
but are the voters undecided?
Right.
Like that's when you're really looking at like when you're really pulling out and extracting within the demographic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talked about earlier, just a few months ago, when Trump was invited to the National Association of Black Journalists, Kamala was invited as
Sure.
well. And she just wasn't able to be
go,
there.
right.
So I think now it's more of like a strategy. She's had the shortest campaign in the history of presidential campaigns in this country. So the selection has to be like super specific.
His is up there, man.
Well,
His
I
is
mean,
up there.
it's a little late, and just to wrap this up, I do think it's a cost risk benefit
Sure.
analysis. And at this point, if you're on Kamala's team, yes, he has a lot of large ear of a voting base, but I don't know. I think that if she misspeaks or says something that she doesn't realize, I personally, I had a friend of mine that went on CNN just as a psychologist 15 years ago and said something about Grand Theft Auto. Like, she didn't know. She's a radio DJ in New York, and said something about GTA, and those gamers ripped her life apart.
Yeah, you don't want to do
I
that.
mean, destroyed her
But
before
it's-
that happened. So she wasn't even paid for that segment.
Here's the
So
good
is it
thing,
worth it? Is
though.
it worth it?
Because I think that's the future now. If you're on a CNN, whatever it is, and you say something about GTA, a game, sorry, we got to cut to commercial. We're out. You don't explain it. It's over. The audience heard it. If you're on a podcast and someone goes, "Hey, my uncle's a gamer," or whatever, this is the way it is. Oh, I didn't. You have a chance to explain yourself on a podcast. You could talk it
There's
through. You could
space.
talk through the idea. I'm telling you, I don't think. Again, maybe I'm just biased. People aren't trusting mainstream media anymore, and they want to hear the long answer, especially someone as influential as the President of the United States. They want to hear a little bit more from them. So I think in 4 years from now, podcasts will grow even more. There'll probably be more outlets for, talking about whatever you want to talk about. But now, like you said, we're a week away, and it's a little bit too late, but I think it's a good idea.
And by the way, it's going to come down to about 120,000 people. That's who it's going to come down to.
I don't think that's
in
a
Pennsylvania or
great
Michigan.
thing.
That I know. I do want to say our volume. We're seeing your thing. They're checking on it. We got great people behind us. If your volume is still too low, let us know. But we are moving on. But it turned down for what?
Yeah.
Someone with that. For whom?
All right, we are moving on. Speaking of somebody that's not turning down, it's D. Wade County. I was living
Cavs.
in
Wait, what's he on,
Miami
Kevin?
during the Dwayne Wade era. I think people know him as Gabrielle Union's husband now, and they see him as a father to a proud trans child person now. And they don't realize what a phenom he was and how he took that city over and how popular he was along with Shaq. They brought them a title. And for all that he did for that city, shout out 305-786 Dade County. He got maybe the worst statue
It was horrible.
of all time. I thought it was Joe Frazier.
That wasn't a prank. Because when I first saw it, I reverted back to a couple other statues that we saw. And I thought for sure it was a prank. And he was like, when he referenced it, he was a little upset. He's
Agreed.
like, I don't know who that is. Like,
Agreed.
behind me. But I was like, they did him dirty with that statue.
See,
It doesn't look. It looks square face.
He has spoken out and he said that he doesn't care, pretty much. Like,
Come on, what did he say at home?
that was the thing. It was the unveiling publicly that it doesn't give you
Anytime.
it doesn't give you any time to like process. And like for some of us, like, a lot of people, everything we're thinking is just written all over our faces.
Right.
Like you.
And yeah.
Yeah. He had a little bit of
I
that
have
look.
no
for
game
sure
face.
did.
I have no game face. Now, Dwayne Wade's got game, but not a game face. I mean, I think that by the time he talked about it, it's been put into perspective about how this was an honor. And
It was
I mean,
bad.
how many people have statues, which I was like, true, like, I don't know anybody who has their own statue. So,
Someone's
I mean, I felt like the face,
Erica, it didn't look like him.
no, it could have been more refined. D Wade is a very attractive
Yes.
man. And
It wasn't hot. It
But-
wasn't a hot statue. And someone said it looks like Lawrence Fishburne, said Miss Blue.
That's
Oh, someone did a meme with that. Lawrence Fishburne. Remember when he's getting tortured in the Matrix and he's like, someone did a meme like that. Someone did a meme like that. I saw that.
Someone's.
But
That's
I don't
funny.
know if you guys saw it, if we have the graphics, but if you ever saw that, was it a Punked episode when they
Yes,
got
Beckham.
David Beckham?
Yes.
And they made his statue like horrible on purpose, and it was, and he was being as kind as
that
he
was
could.
James Corden, right?
Oh, it was James
yeah,
Corden.
the whole
He
thing.
set that
I was
up.
like, I don't think Punked had the budget for that.
You're right. You're right. 'Cause it was a long episode.
Because he's like, mate, this doesn't look like me.
And he
Mate.
goes, look at my bum. His butt was really big. Remember his teeth? And I thought when I first saw that, it was like a stat. I thought they were making fun of it. But Dwayne Wade, here's a perfect reference for you guys. It's like when you guys brought out the llama for Jordan's birthday on
Yes.
air, and you're like, what's happening here? That was Dwayne Wade's face when he saw the statue. He's like, what's going on?
Also, did
so
you see his
bad.
son turn to him? And he they both had these faces where it was like, are they in awe of the sight of his first statue? Or is it like, Dad, what do I do?
I think it was that. I do want to say ELC brings me to 213 just wrote, who remembers the Lucille Ball statue? I also got that ready. Nick, do we have that ready to go? Yes. All right, we're putting up the Lucille Ball statue. It is horrendous, and it's not a joke, and everybody knows about it. And I just want you to know they had to take it down and re-put it back up.
Wow.
Yeah, her teeth are like up to here. She's like, ha! It's so insulting.
I guess we would need somebody who is a professional sculptor, I guess. I don't know.
A
who would,
sculptor, you mean?
But I don't
professional.
understand, because when somebody's inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I think that's the one most people are at least familiar with. The guys stand next to their bust, and usually it's pretty close. Get that guy to just make the head, and then put that head on, weld it onto the body, because it seems like some people are like, I'm really good at arms. Like, it just, maybe it's like
My
we're asking
torsos
too
are
much.
good.
I mean,
Yeah.
the arms, the body, yeah.
yeah.
Madame
Madame Tussauds it. Like Madame
Right.
Tussauds it.
Yeah.
Get the Madame
But I
Tussauds
think I
wax.
see guys like on Instagram where they could do someone's face out of clay in like 10 minutes.
It's
Right.
so
And it
much
looks
better.
identical. Like the guy
like a
who did that, I
werewolf.
feel bad for him.
Oh my
because they're like,
God.
God.
It just, I know it's got because he wasn't trying to troll. He's
No.
like, this is my life's work. You've been tasked with the idea of putting a statue that's going to be there long after we are all gone. Arguably Miami's most famous athlete, and you blow it
You messed it up.
to the point where they might have to melt it down for copper, like a meth head. What is happening?
And remember King Charles when he ripped his down and it was all red and he was like, oh my. oh my. It was so bad.
I think because obviously
Oh,
this
God.
is a
Okay.
person, an artist who put a lot of work. But I do
being
think,
so kind.
no, I do think that sometimes you got to be like, this is outside of my scope, y'all.
Right.
Right.
Just be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
he,
can't do
and he
this.
had to know, because like he did half the face, and his partner came in and she's like, I'm halfway, and she was like, you're putting in a lot of work. Like she's not giving him like what he wants. Like baby, this is a dead ringer. She's like, you were working hard. Do you need some water? Like, it's like she will
bad.
not give it up.
Ravens fan just wrote, it just doesn't look like him, LOL.
Oh,
That's very true.
doesn't.
You know what,
It really
Ravens
doesn't.
fan? It doesn't look like him, but
No.
it looks like the Browns put it on you this week.
Oh,
Shout out.
So what
I
happened?
know where
Someone
you're-
said the Bears to you. What happened?
Oh my gosh! I texted
Oh,
Jeff
Erica-
literally.
Erica
Someone filming
talked-
this. I saw the
Split
Commanders.
second.
The Commanders did something big too. My team with the Hail Mary.
Split second after the
happened then?
game was
Tell us.
over, I just texted Jeff in all caps. How?
What happened? What happened, Bubba? Someone tell me.
So I'll tell you. First
Jeff,
of all,
walk us
shout out to
through.
your
Browns.
They beat the Ravens.
they
That's where that
never
first.
beat anybody.
So the Washington Commanders are a good football team this year.
Yeah.
They're winning the whole game.
Are they?
They were.
Oh, I see. I see. Oh, this is the Hail Mary. Yes.
This is the Hail Mary. And the Bears went and scored, like with a couple seconds left. So
So
I
game's
took
traditionally over at this point.
traditionally over.
You have a few seconds left.
Right. They're down a touchdown, not even a field goal
Okay.
at this point. They need a touchdown. So I grabbed my shoes, and all my neighbors are outside. Our next door neighbor, their kid was having a birthday. So I walked some shoes over there. I'm like, and they were watching the game. And I was
Why'd
like,
you walk your shoes over there?
they're the kids. There's shoes everywhere. So I'm like,
Okay.
here's your kid's shoes.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, cobbler.
Jeff, can you get a diagram for
Can
her?
I go? I walked to my neighbor's house.
Okay, okay,
Don't
okay.
worry about what's in my
You know
hand.
the shoe part. Okay.
And my neighbors are outside. I'm like, the Bears get a W. And my other buddy's a Bills fan. He's like, the Bills got a W too. So I walk back in the house, and it's still going on. I'm like, why did they let him get 20 yards like that on that out? Because you have to throw a Hail Mary. Your quarterback has to have the arm strength to throw it 50, 60 yards so it lands in the end zone.
For sure.
You can't like catch it and run traditionally after. So they let him get up to like the 50-yard line. So it's the
You
last.
mean the quarterback?
The quarterback.
I saw him running for a while, looking,
It's
looking,
the last
looking,
play of the
looking,
game.
looking.
He's running
saw
around. No
that.
one could get him. One of the Bears players was taunting the crowd.
I saw that. He wasn't even playing defense.
And then he
Jeff,
runs
explain
over.
that to people because that's important.
Oh my God.
He was like,
It's
"What's up, people?"
I was having such a nice Sunday too, and they threw the bomb, and all the Bears players tipped it. There was a Washington guy in the end zone,
saw
and not even a hard catch. He's like, doink,
Just in his
in his
just
hand. And
delivered like.
then my phone just went, brrrt, and then Erica was one of them. I was like, oh my God.
I was like, how?
I should have written you,
Anthony
my
and I
team.
were in the backyard. We have just the Broncos game got off. We're watching the end of the Bears
Get
game,
outta
and we're
here.
like, "Oh, sweet! The Broncos and the what?" Like,
A little
sorry.
John came out of you.
Washington to Commanders, baby.
I could not. I was like, "There ain't no way. There ain't no way." I was like, "Play it back, play it back, play it back." I was like, "Oh my God!" It was even worse the second time.
Now
I'm
let me
like,
ask you this: Gabriel Garcia asked
Oh.
the question I had. They didn't rush the QB and they let the receiver get behind him. Why didn't they?
They-
He had 15 minutes
No,
there.
so here's the thing. There's 11 guys on each side of the ball,
Okay.
22 total.
Okay.
They rush, they rush 3 guys
Right.
because they want everybody back to defend that
I
pass.
see. They wanted the
Bears'
back.
problem was one of their defenders was yelling at the crowd when the ball got snapped.
Oh my God, this is chaos.
And you should never, as a defender, let someone behind you.
I
Never
see.
let.
And
So
he was just
all the
waiting
Bears
there.
went in one spot. It was just kind of like lightning in a
wow.
bottle.
Oh
They
my
all
God.
tipped it, and the one Washington guy stood smartly behind the pile
see.
and just caught it. But it's like it was
That's karma
so
for taunting,
heartbreaking.
man.
And my whole Instagram feed, I can't even go on Instagram because that plays on every single time I go like
Repeat.
this, and I'm like, I can't watch it anymore.
Well, the funny part for me was that we were okay. So wait a minute. So that day, Sunday, Anthony, my husband, and I were like, "Oh, let's go to brunch, and then we'll walk over to the Broncos game because, like,
What
that's
a
like our
fun day.
Sunday,
Doesn't that
like
sound fun?
our Sunday ritual, right?" So we get to brunch. We ate so much at brunch that we were like, "Do you want to just go back home?" So we were literally texting people like, "Do you want 2 tickets to the Broncos game?" Because I was like, my jeans don't fit. Like,
Yeah.
I can't go to the game.
overate.
So we were just at home watching the Broncos game that we weren't at.
Damn.
And then, so we didn't even see the whole Bears game. That was like the only part of the game that we saw. So I was just like, oh, and then all of a sudden bed, and I'm like, what the hell? Which was
Damn.
like the most bizarre series of events for that day, period. Because first of all, who eats too much at brunch and has to go
That's a Tori and an Al.
Yes, when I do,
That's a
when
Tori
I
and
go,
an
when I
Al.
do go to
That's,
brunch.
that's goals right there.
right.
That's
I
goals.
mean,
right
yes.
there.
She walks to
too
the
full
Broncos
to
game.
watch a game. That's amazingly
Unbelievable.
full. Yes.
Unbelievable. I do want to give a shout out. Sorry to bring everything down, but we do want to make a shout out. Rest in peace to Terry Garr, who passed away today.
Tell everybody who she is.
Terry Garr was in Young Frankenstein. She was in Mr. Mom. And she was just a really
the
funny.
blonde?
The blonde.
Oh, wow.
So she's a really funny comedic actor, and she worked with Mel Brooks a lot. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry this just came up, but someone was asking. She's kind of a physical comedian, and I always looked up to her for that. So just shout out to her, man.
She's good.
79.
I know exactly what you're
She
talking
died of
about.
multiple sclerosis, and I know some of our viewers also are suffering or surviving through that. So I just wanted to weirdly ADHD shout that out.
Okay, well, speaking of movies, costumes, all the good stuff. Do we have any costume ideas? What are we doing? What shouldn't you? Matter of fact,
Oh,
is
I
that the
think-
better thing? Is to like what you shouldn't be wearing, or do
Yes.
we have a story before this?
What's the story,
We do have a
Peter?
story.
Who is it? Menendez.
Which a lot of people would be going as Halloween.
I don't know
as.
if you say it like that.
I should definitely not have said it like that.
Dumber.
I said it like I immediately regretted myself. I said it like Menen, and I'm like, don't do it, Dad.
Yeah, no.
I apologize.
It is on the topic.
That
of
was really
conversation.
that was thoughtless. I apologize.
I
You're
helped
right.
you out.
Okay, that wasn't
I
good.
helped you out.
But if you didn't know, I
John
apologize.
Wayne Gacy.
Okay,
Yeah. All right.
BTK. I'm
All
sorry.
right, we'll stop there. We'll
I
stop there.
apologize. I'm so sorry. Golden State.
But yeah, it's not that. bad.
Apologize.
It's not
But if
bad.
you didn't know, I want everyone's opinion. The resentencing has been scheduled for, I believe, this week or next, but coming up, a new resentencing. And this means the judge can either say you're back in jail or you are free to go.
Which means they would have got their sentence knocked down to a misdemeanor, which in essence means
Or
you're free to
manslaughter,
go.
not
Or
misdemeanor.
yes.
And they would have been time
sorry, what did I
served
say?
misdemeanor.
I'm sorry, I meant
Killing
you
your
can get a
parents is
misdemeanor
not a
and a
misdemeanor.
shotgun is involved?
I'm sorry, I meant manslaughter.
In some states, no. But this means that in a few days, the Menendez brothers could be out. Out. And a lot of us feel a certain way about it.
Well, let's ask Jeff
talk
because
about it.
he does not. You don't dig the killer celebrity.
Were you here for the podcast where we covered this?
Probably.
Yeah.
I've changed my tune. I've changed it.
Wait,
I
talk.
don't think Al was here for that.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
think
maybe
you
I
were.
What do you
Yeah.
mean you changed your tune? Talk to us.
I think they should be free.
You're.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I watched the documentary and then I listened to them in jail and I just got more details and then I had this weird, that I'm never married to my thoughts.
Wait, Jeff,
you
so
know?
you're saying that you have an opinion, some new information comes out, you process that, and then reformulate your opinion. That's so weird.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that anymore. But I did that because I was telling them I saw my kids. My kids were running around in like their superpower underwear and stuff,
Right.
and they're so vulnerable. And to look at a child in that way is the most disgusting thing ever to me.
Right.
And to have my kids running around, while I'm watching this, they're not paying attention, and to hear the details and what the father did to them, allegedly.
And
Allegedly.
allegedly, the
that was-
Menudo kids too, right?
Right.
Correct.
One of the kids
Correct.
from Menudo,
Allegedly.
which he was part owner, I guess. in that
manager,
thing.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I talked about it on a
Did you
podcast.
watch
And I think it's a
Monsters,
lot
too?
more than one kid.
Yeah, I think
From
Menudo
what I
had
know,
many.
I think.
But
Yeah.
there was very specific details with the nutmeg I mentioned and just the other things, because not only do you ruin that kid's life, then it's in their psyche that's what they do. They started doing that to each other, and the father was the cause of all this. And I just put myself in their shoes, which I can't even imagine. And as disgusting as it sounds, and I would never talk that way about my parents because I had the most lovely childhood and I love my parents to death. But if someone did that to my children, let's use that example, I would do the exact same thing they
Right.
did.
So you feel like
With-
they've served their time.
I do.
And I think that's
do.
the general consensus of the public.
People are
Erica,
saying
would you agree?
I'm just letting people know I'm with Jeff. I'm with
Yeah.
Jeff, letting people know what everyone's feeling so far.
And I
they're
wasn't.
out.
I was like, you can't do that. We have laws.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been of the thinking that they need to at least be retried or resentenced.
But
There's
the
just-
trial itself was unfair.
Yeah,
the original.
well, yes, because what people didn't really know, and that's the power of podcasts, documentaries, people taking interest in these cases that have been open and shut by sometimes one voice. People talk about like the bias in media as if it just started. Like, we want to get back to the way media was. The way media was that it was biased and no one talked about it because the only people who had microphones were the people who owned the media.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So the idea that you have two young men who have allegedly, but I believe it's true, were abused by their father in such a horrific way, and the mother did absolutely nothing. And people
Let's say the
feel,
family did nothing.
but yes, the family, but like in terms of the victims,
Right, yes.
the mother and the father. And the thing about it is, it's so horrific that our puritanical society, especially back then, really just wanted to believe that people were incapable of doing things like that. Let me just tell you, as someone who has worked in child welfare for 5 years, people walk amongst us who do that on a regular basis.
Wow.
And it's something that if you want to believe the good or the best in the world, like, yes, I believe in the good and the best in the world, but I also know that the devil walks amongst us, and nothing about this story surprises me, and I'll just leave it at that.
Well, you sent me an article a couple years ago while we were still doing the show, and it was the sociopaths in our society. And I sent it to my daughter because, she's going to be in college next year and be an adult. And I find that people my age, our generation, people in their 40s, maybe people a decade younger might be a little bit more nuanced in this subject. But, like, even when they'll see a character on a reality show, they can't identify that this person is a sociopath, a person that is usually charming. They figure out what people like, but they don't have any, it's almost a disability. They don't have any feelings. So Chris Watts, the person that murdered his 2 children, put them in oil drums along with his wife.
I couldn't even watch that documentary.
Right.
I watched everything about it. It was sick.
Yeah, but that was famously in, not
Here.
Aurora, where was it? Like in Highlands Ranch?
No, it was in Colorado.
Yeah, but it was in an affluent suburb.
Uh-huh.
What's the other one besides Highlands Ranch?
The Springs or no?
No, but he was in a nice suburb, had a beautiful life. And 9 News, the place where we used to shoot our show, was interviewing him on his porch. And if you go back and look at that interview, it's fascinating because I look at him and he's a case study and a person who doesn't know how human beings should react. So, like, if your boys are missing, you wouldn't be like, Jordan, they must have just left. So I don't, he's like kind of because his brain did not give him the ability to really feel the emotions he should. And I think that my daughter, our kids, the next generation, and this current one should be more adept at understanding that there is a number of people in our society that have this, and it is, especially in a capitalistic society, an advantage. Because if I don't care if I lie to you and get you up out of your home or lie to you and clean you out with your kids' college savings, I'm at an advantage in this country. You couldn't do that. You couldn't do that. So who's the company gonna hire? Me. I'm the person that doesn't have feelings. So we have to understand that, especially people in power, because of the system that we live under, it propels people that are sociopaths and psychotic in a little way forward. So you just need to understand that people in leadership, it's a good thing to have.
I don't know if I'm gonna go to like making leadership synonymous with being a sociopath.
I would say that it's advantageous.
I don't
just
know.
throw out
I
a
mean,
big
of
word and
course,
just be
like,
like,
yeah.
It's advantageous.
I'm like,
It's a big word.
Erica,
I'm like, sure, I guess you can look at it that way.
Erica, if we're neck and neck in an election, it's half a point separates us with a week to go, and I'm a sociopath and you're not, and my team says, you know what, go after Erica's nephew, aunt, they've got a substance abuse issue, we can really blow their life up. Who would be more advantaged to use that talking point?
Well,
you wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I would do that.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, it's up to the constituents at that point to decide if that's the type of game that they want.
Are you aware of the country you live in?
I am aware of the country that I live in. I don't want to take this to politics, so I'm going to bring it back to...
That was just an example.
Yeah,
the
and
idea
I
of,
do want to shout out Ravens fan who just wrote he knew what they were doing when they killed their parents. I do want to say, like, we all are aware that this happened. None of us disagree that that's what happened, but I do think it's important to understand what you said. Motive is a really important part of a fair trial, and if they didn't get their due process with that evidence brought in, the least we could do is at least retry it and bring in the evidence of the sexual abuse. They fully cut that out. So I think that's what we're all saying here, just to wrap it up.
Yeah.
If not let them go, at least let them have a chance.
And I
to
don't
be
think
brought
the
up with
question is, were they aware of what they were doing? I think the question is, what charges
Correct.
should have been
Correct.
leveraged against
That's
them
right.
at that
Was
time?
it malice aforethought? Was it because they were passionate? There's different ways murder
And
is
also,
rated. You're right.
And just to be very clear about it too, when you are a child victim of sexual SA, there is there's case study that shows that the wiring in your brain
Yeah.
is not the same as
Wow.
someone
Sure.
who comes up without that type of, abuse.
Sure.
So when you say like they knew what they're doing, I'm sure they did know what they were doing to execute, to do what they did.
You were going to say
Yeah.
execute their plan. but
Yeah,
I
to
get what
execute
you're
their
saying.
plan.
Oh, but the word.
But let me-
yeah.
But if you, again, we'll get off this, but if you look at even
Why? It's
just their
interesting.
trial, and
Go
when
ahead.
he first one of the brothers tells the other brother, I'm sorry for doing that to you,
Wow.
and their visceral reaction, Daniel Day-Lewis couldn't pull that off. That was a genuine moment, like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my wiring, he didn't say my wiring, but exactly to your point, I didn't mean to do that to you. But that's what happens when that is
Yeah.
done to you.
Yeah.
And I have no sympathy, whether it be your father or anyone else, because if that was done to my child, it wouldn't be that easy. I'd
Right.
keep you in the basement for weeks. I'm just going to leave it there.
That's great.
And here's my one point I want to say. If they do get off, which I do think they should, I do not want them to be celebrities in
That's
any
impossible.
aspect
That's impossible.
whatsoever.
They're already celebrities.
That's something I don't agree with. I don't agree with them
Well, I
being
think
celebrities.
Are you saying that because they're already celebrities?
Yeah, they already
they're
are.
people-
I know.
They're known people.
They're infamous.
But
yeah.
are you saying that you don't want them to profit off of their, like, 'cause
That's a good
it's kind
question.
of like there's no way for them not to be known people.
And
I know, but it's
And
a
how do they
some-
make a
somebody-
survival without
Well,
that?
somebody is definitely going to profit. They're going to be documentaries. They're going to be commercials run during their podcast interviews. So should they profit or should somebody else profit?
Also,
Be
but
maybe
here's
the other
thing.
question.
People have been profiting off of their story
Mm-hmm.
forever. And I mean, this is a narrative that has not been fully told by them.
Even
At least
Monsters,
not
they
in
said,
open-
isn't feel.
yeah.
They were annoyed by the Ryan Murphy version.
Well, they should have been more than annoyed by the
yeah,
Ryan
it got
Murphy
really
version.
graphic, homoerotic
Yes,
in a way
it
that I
was.
didn't
Yeah.
think was
It
fair.
seemed-
I just don't like
Yeah.
the Gypsy Roses of the world. Like that. I don't want. Those are very specific cases, and I understand why they did what they did or did what they had to do.
And they served their
I
time.
do understand, even though I have no idea.
Right.
But I do not want people thinking that because something bad happened in their life that isn't even close to that level, thinking, you know what, I will just murder my parents or murder this, and you know what, I'll make headline news and eventually I'll be a hero, because that's how bad some people want to be famous
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah, that's
and I don't
true.
want people thinking that is an avenue towards fame, and you get your fame and your revenge all in one.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not for like, hey, Jimmy Fallon, I'm sorry, Jimmy Fallon. I love you. I really do love Jimmy Fallon. I'm just
Jimmy
using him-
Fallon would have them on.
But that's what I don't want.
Well, oh, please.
I was just going to say,
thought you said
Julia
Jew.
Gray said, a trauma in childhood, especially sexual trauma, triggers personality disorders. It's been proven.
Wow, because the brain is plasticized at that point. It's still growing.
Yeah.
You're not an adult till
it's
22.
especially during your formative
Mm-hmm.
years.
How many times have we seen that? What happens if you had that done to you as a child? You are more than likely to do that as an adult to another child.
Of course,
Oh, yes.
recidivism.
Yes, but let me ask you guys this,
That's a
because
hard word.
I do agree with what you're saying, or I should say I understand what you're saying, that you don't want them to necessarily profit, but anywhere they go, there are going to be millions of eyeballs that follow, and
like
wherever
Amanda Knox.
eyeballs follow, commercials follow. So somebody is about to get paid.
You think
So-
they're going to endorse a product?
No, I'm just saying if they came on Daytime Talk After Dark, Sprite would be on the phone with us like, we will put a Sprite on that table. We'll give you 50 bit. You know, they're going to attract a massive audience.
I get it. And
So-
they do
no,
have to.
So
I guess.
I want to ask you about something.
Yeah,
so, my question.
Some people are
is,
saying let's not glorify them by talking about them on podcasts.
I'm not saying that.
it's
we're
a
saying.
very fascinating
Just
subject.
saying.
They're synonymous. They're part of our cultural zeitgeist. We can't act like they do not exist. So what I'm saying is, because they exist, should there be a law in place where a network or somebody cannot, maybe that money generated goes to children's
I
fund
don't
or
know.
something?
That's violating their
don't-
First
Because the
Amendment.
money's going
honestly,
somewhere.
I don't know. In this case, I think they get out and they're allowed to live their lives in the most, like, in the best way they
I'm with you.
possibly can.
I'm with you. If they need to
Because
speak, they need to speak.
I just think, like, if you think about terrible things that have happened in your life, and you think about the idea that you were born a victim, like, they never had a chance. So to me, it's like, is what they did, like, horrific? Of course it is. But also, they never had a chance. So if they get out and they make $1 billion, I'm like, okay, they got their billion. Like, what is the price, or how much is a life worth to, like,
Erica,
live that way? To go from literally, so just what, how long after they murked their parents were they now, are prisoners of the state?
Right.
So, like,
They never
when
were-
have
right,
this,
right.
so they've always been captive by something.
Right. And I mean, you have seamlessly, whether you know it or not, transition just into our next topic, because there will be a price on the Menendez brothers Halloween costume. That is something you will be able to buy. I'm sure
Way to
you
go.
can currently buy it now.
Al,
Transition.
you're doing a
That is what we call a third turn.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Menendez to Halloween.
You've been doing a fantastic job.
Oh,
You've been
thank
doing a
you.
really fantastic
Yeah.
I
job.
mean, it's by the way, Halloween costume. Do you have one? Do you know what you want to be?
Let me get my candy while y'all decide.
Yeah, I actually do have one.
Okay.
And I'm going to take a page out of your book.
Talk to me.
So I had this charity event. It was called Asprey.
Way to know your
Offrey? Offrey.
Grand
It's like
Ole
an
Opry?
Aspen. Like you're supposed to party like you're in Aspen. Asprey?
Opry.
Oh.
There you go.
I
I don't
was
even. I don't even know that word.
Asprey.
It means after in French.
It was an Asprey party. Everybody dressed like skunks. No, I didn't even know.
I'm
I
dying.
didn't
I'm
even
dying.
know what it was.
Like après ski.
There it is.
Yeah, like
Opera.
after.
So I was
Après.
thinking Dumb and
What?
Dumber.
Après means
See,
after.
I don't know what that is either.
Wait, Tori.
In French, après, A-P-R-E-S, means after. So après ski means after you ski, you get your Aperol Spritz and you hang out.
I don't know what any of those words were.
Me neither. So I went to the Halloween store with
Bougie
the kids, and they
bitch.
picked out their costumes. And there was just an all-in-one, kind of like Run DMC wrap. You get the chain, you get the glasses, you get the hat.
Ooh.
I'm like, oh, that's what I'm wearing to the party, and I can wear it for Halloween. Boom, done.
Who are you then?
Okay, so then I went to the party. I'm
The
like, I'm
Opry party.
Opry party. Everyone's like, what? You can't wear that to the party. And I'm like, what? I don't even know what's happening. So then I just wore a sweater, kind of like I look like me with brown pants. I don't even know what happened at
So
that
you were
party.
So
just
was
a
everyone
loser.
dressed in
A
like
loser.
goggles on their
they-
heads?
Goggles
and stuff
were a
like
big
that?
thing. I wore snow ski boot, like
Right.
little
Yeah.
boots. Anyways,
Was
it
it
fun.
outside?
No, you know what it was? Where you had your party. I almost called you.
Oh, Vesper or Ves?
No, the one over by where I live. You know that you had an event over there.
Oh, Castle.
Yeah, it was over in
Castle
Castle
Rock?
Rock.
Yeah, the what is it? Is it a golf course?
It was the exact same venue.
Yeah.
Because I almost called you.
Yeah.
But we took a party bus and I forgot.
Yeah,
But anyways, getting back to
Or
the
Castle Pines?
you got plenty of time.
Yeah, so wait, what did you ask? That's what I'm gonna be for Halloween, but my kids are gonna be the little one Scream. He just loves scary stuff.
You mean he's the
Right.
Scream mask
the
guy?
Scream
okay,
mask
okay,
guy,
okay.
the Scream. And then Lawson he's one of those big dinosaurs that inflate.
Oh, that's
love
awesome.
Yeah.
With the
yeah.
little arms?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
it's so
my
fun.
favorite.
So funny.
Hello.
Sorry, I took up too much
No,
time.
it's great.
Yeah.
Erica, do you have a costume?
I do not, and I think I might actually have to get one because
Yeah.
I got a text from my sister-in-law, and she was like, "So I'm gonna bring the girls over so we can trick or treat in your neighborhood." My fear is that I don't know anything about trick or treating in my neighborhood, and we live in the city.
We don't get a lot, to be honest.
and-
We don't either.
So I'm
don't
like,
get a lot.
well, do we need to go somewhere because I've never done trick or treat research in my neighborhood?
It's not
I
good.
just know
That'd be
that I
creepy
get
if
a
you did.
bag. I know I get one bag of candy because we always get like 5 kids who come by, and that's pretty much it. So I think I am going to get a costume because now we got to figure out where to trick or treat.
And you know,
Yeah.
just because you get a costume, no kids are gonna show up.
Yeah.
and You're just gonna look crazy
Well,
because
no,
you're not
I have
having
to
a party
I'm
and you're
gonna go. We're gonna take my nieces around, so I got to figure out.
Where
There's
the,
some good places I can tell you on 44th. There's like three
well,
good streets.
let's not really hone in on.
I'm talking about like at 88th and
Yeah.
on.
I mean, well, it's not on
Lincoln.
the low. There's gonna be 1,600 kids out there, but like
I'm just saying it's probably not best
To
to
say
say
where
that
she
where
is.
we're gonna be. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Tori, while you're, what do you have a costume?
I'm going to be. See if you can recognize me.
Frankenstein.
Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice. The break dancing
sprinkler?
Australian.
Ray Gun, the Australian breakdancer. Remember?
Where are you going?
Just my house.
Oh my god.
You're not going to a party?
I mean,
That's a great costume.
there's a party on my street.
You're gonna dress up as a breakdancer by yourself.
Yes.
Could you
You've made
put it?
it-
Could you record it? at
You
least?
made this sound really bad.
Do you want to come with my nieces?
Kind of, kind of. But we have a lot of people on our street that come, and we have like a whole light situation going on.
Oh, do you?
And you press a button, the guy goes ha 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 ha
Oh,
ha.
then maybe we'll come trick or treat by you.
We have a lot. We
by
got
you.
king size Snickers bars, king size Kit
Oh,
Kats.
so you're dressing up so when they come, you're
correct,
in an
and I
outfit.
can be like,
I got the dance move right. You were the
Yeah,
sprinkler.
but okay, here's my only counter to your
To Ray Gun?
costume because I like your costume.
people are liking it here.
Good.
Not so
That's
much
like-
here.
What
Not
you
so
would,
much here.
that's like a sentence you have to repeat like when you're getting a DUI.
They like it here, I promise.
Read the sentence. But no, it's okay, Tori, because there are two different kinds of Halloweens. Tori is going with a
Topical.
cultural
Yeah.
zeitgeist. I've used that word twice. I've
You
never
a
said it
lot
in
of
my life.
zeitgeist today.
I never used that word.
You've used it
but
constantly.
that's an adult costume. But kids coming to your door wouldn't necessarily know who that is. Kids coming to your door would be like,
The
"Oh,
kids
she's
coming
a
to
witch."
the door
No, but I
don't
need-
even look at you. They
Right.
just look at the bowl.
Right. I need
But the
Instagram
parents do.
followers.
The parents will get it.
The parents will get it, and I need Instagram followers. So I'm doing it for like.
You think so? You want people to come to your house and then follow you on Instagram?
No, I want to take a video of me doing this.
Let's transition a little bit.
Okay.
here, because I know what you're going to set up. You think you would get more attention being the breakdancer, or if you were dressed as something like the Menendez or P. Diddy?
Wake up in the morning feeling like Ray Gun.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because traditionally, the most gruesome sort of
I would get canceled
way-
at Diddy. Diddy's cancelable at this point.
Yeah.
Canceled from what?
Yeah, I know. I'm at rock bottom. But honestly, you can't go as Diddy this year.
There's a plenty I've seen on the internet.
Oh, there's gonna be.
Can you
yeah,
go
there's
as
gonna be
Diddy?
so many.
What are you gonna
So
Diddys.
be
you
dre-
can't go
with
as Diddy,
guys.
but you can go as Jeffrey Dahmer?
You can go as whatever you want.
But
a
I'm
good
saying
point.
socially.
That's a
I know
good
that
point,
you
Al.
can.
It depends on where you
That's a good
socialize.
point.
If you're going to a Halloween party,
Yeah.
general.
I
don't
I
know.
think it's bad taste, but
To
I'm
be what,
sure-
Dahmer or
all of it.
okay?
But
all
there
of
have been last year they were selling out of Dahmer, so clearly Dahmer was
Yeah.
fine.
What about Mike
y'all-
Myers?
Y'all got to get out of like the idea of the ether where people
Hold on,
there might
Tori's
be
belching like
I'm
she's
so
at a
sorry.
bar
There
in
might be like
the outskirts of
ramifications.
Australia. Like, what are you
I
doing?
guarantee
Where's the
you-
Barbie?
I guarantee you that the parties where these costumes are being sold out for, everybody's like, yeah, oh, no, the Diddy, blah, blah, want a beer.
Wait, what was that? What was
Is that the party
Can
Tori
we
shrunk
clip
at?
that?
Where are y'all hanging
What
out?
was that
I
about?
kind of want that for myself. I want that to be my doorbell. Want a beer?
I'm P. Diddy.
That's gonna be my doorbell.
Like, you can't go as P. Diddy right now. Like, you can't even go as Baby Oil right now.
But there's gonna be.
That's
People are already
sick.
doing the Menendez brothers dressed up in sweaters to that song by Milli Vanilli, like
Right.
that went off the charts. There's gonna be plenty
By
of
the way,
those.
R.I.P. Milli Vanilli. They were treated terribly.
And first of all, what did Baby Oil do wrong? Johnson & Johnson's like, why did we get dragged into this? You
Because
can't go
you-
as Baby Oil?
I think Baby Oil has a reference that's a little
That's
uncomfortable
what
for
you
people.
think. But if I want to be Baby Oil, maybe I pre-plan my outfit. I already got the liquid
You just
contained
want
at
it
the
to be
bottom of
Johnson and Johnson's Baby
You ain't
Oil.
slick.
What?
Nice.
Was that a play on Baby Oil?
Slick.
Oh,
That was
I
really
like it.
good. That was
So
great.
I don't know. I just think I thought.
Okay,
also
can I give you the
Halloween-
list of what else we can't be?
What?
Okay, are you guys ready? Do not go as the Queen Elizabeth. I think it's enough time.
But what if you like get a horror Queen Elizabeth?
That's still cool.
Even if like you're decomposing?
I mean, that's enough. I don't think we need to go that
But people
escalated.
hire makeup artists. We've
That
hired
escalated.
makeup artists.
Okay. Don't go any kind of do not go as with Native American headdress.
Oh, that's been out for a while.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we'll come back to you.
Yeah, good
Do
one.
not try and change your skin color with
I
makeup.
was just about to use that, but didn't want to use that.
Right. Yeah.
What about going
Thanks,
as a
Tori.
Playboy bunny?
I think it's okay.
Okay. Do not go as Johnny Depp or Amber Heard.
Why?
Why not?
Nobody's gonna be Captain Hook Albano. What was his name?
Captain Hook's fine.
What
Captain
is-
Lou
no,
Albano?
Who is Johnny Depp's character? I don't know.
Oh, Jack Sparrow.
Oh, Captain Hook
not-
Albano.
But what if
I was
you
like,
went with
Captain Hook out
what if
there.
you
I never
went
saw
with
those
like
movies.
is Johnny Depp with like with a little doo-doo in the bed?
I will say
He
this.
did shit in the bed. Excuse my language.
Oh,
I thought we were.
Oh, he can
I'm
shit
so
in the
sorry.
bed, but she
So
can't
sorry.
say it.
I can't say doo-doo?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I
It's just like
apologize.
there's
I
such
am-
a double standard in this world. Like you can't do things.
What about a sexualized children's costume? Like a sexy minion.
I think we've hit
Oh.
the
No,
bar.
a sexy minion.
That is interesting because
Thank you, Al.
can you be sexy
Oh, like a
Ariel?
dirty minion, like a
I
girl.
just said that.
I
Yes.
was,
I was
a
think-
sexy strawberry shortcake.
Oh, that's good, Erica.
Okay.
That's
Sorry,
good.
we were on like the Menendez thing,
That's
and I
good.
went way
Yeah,
too
I
far
hear
in
you.
my
Yeah,
mind.
right. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
can you be a
that's
sexy
perfectly
minion?
fine.
You
Yeah.
think that's okay?
Is it?
Yeah.
What if
Why
you
not?
go as what if you go as like
First of all,
sexy
everything-
Minnie Mouse?
Yeah, everything's slutty.
Actually,
on
I've
Halloween.
gone as a sexy Minnie Mouse, I think.
Were
Yeah.
you?
Or was I like just a sad
that was
Minnie
July.
Mouse? That was traumatic.
I also, at one point, did the sexy nun. I know that's very bad.
Oh, sexy nun.
that's pushing it.
The reason why, though, was because I had gained a little weight that year and I needed a little bit more coverage.
Okay,
That's
but
fair.
do not
That's
say
fair.
that. That is fair. There's a
That's
lot
fair.
of things.
No, that's
that
fair.
she could have been a detective with a London fog.
Do you
coat.
want to know something, Al? I was walking to get to my boyfriend's at one point a long time ago on Halloween, and I was wearing my trench coat, and someone yelled, "Nice Carmen Sandiego outfit," but I wasn't in costume.
It was Halloween.
Yeah, but I was just in a trench.
Wait,
Were
what do
you
you?
dressed sexy underneath?
A little bit, but they were like, "Cool Carmen Sandiego," but it wasn't.
Still haunts you?
Yeah, I still think about it. Everybody okay over there?
Haunted somebody back there too.
Apparently there's also an Anne Frank costume out.
What
certainly-
is she wearing? Who
Way
would
to
know?
be relevant.
But how would you even know that that's Anne Frank?
You're it's not good if you want to
weird.
see the
I
picture.
don't-
I don't,
okay.
think you want
Yeah.
that. Also, don't go as COVID.
That was years ago.
Okay.
No?
Okay,
I
that's
d-
it. We're done.
Okay, I just I don't know. I don't know if Halloween is the day to be telling people what they shouldn't be doing.
I'm with you.
I
I
think
think that's the day that you tell people there's rules in this country.
I don't know, Erica. I think there needs
Halloween's
to be
your
one day
to get away. I
we
think
gotta,
it is.
We gotta bust out of this. It's like you know when Sam's daughter would come to DBL, especially when she was younger. She'd just come and she'd have on like rain boots and a tutu and some random T-shirt that she didn't. Sam's like, oh, we let Sophie dress herself. And I think a lot of that doesn't really go away. But at a certain point, your dad's like, take those boots off. You know, you become an adult. So I think for one day of the year, you should be able to do what you want. And even though it's probably going to be in bad taste for somebody, as long as you're okay with it and it's cool with your moral values and you're cool with the blowback from it, including like if I'm going to wear this, there might be a chance I get fired. But
that
I think it's
happens.
clever. Like as long as you are aware of all these things, then I think I'm fine.
All
with
right,
it.
Al.
Tori, take
Okay.
us home.
I did just want to say my favorite costume once was a guy wearing a Chili's hat and a miner outfit. He was a Chilean miner, and that was cool because they survived.
I know a lot of people at Chilean miners, but Al, that was a great one. No, I do want. We're out of time, but I want Al because he did such a good job hosting and bringing all the subjects in.
Chilean
I want him to
miners
go all the way and wrap this up.
All right, guys. I love talking with you guys, catching up. By the next time we see each other, we will have Halloween pictures posted. But for right now, guys, remember, what am I forgetting?
Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, tell a friend. We need it.
Okay. Maybe we should have a song or something that
Oh,
people
that
could
could.
sing.
Do you subscribe? Do you like? Do you tell a friend? Cause
All right, we
we're
ruined your
desperate.
outro.
Okay.
And Big Finish, send
Oh,
a
and vote.
check.
Yes.
And vote.
All right.
And go vote.
Yes, and go vote. We appreciate you guys. Be safe over the holidays. Love y'all. Bye.